everyone. I'm Charlie Neal, and welcome to the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York. This is the final stop of a four-city gymnastics tour featuring some of the top gymnasts from the Soviet Union and the United States. Today is an exhibition. No scoring, no judgment, and it's strictly entertainment. But it's top-of-the-line gymnastics, and to help you better understand the complexities of these gymnastics is Kathy Johnson and Bart Connor, both members of our 1984 gymnastics team. And Kathy Johnson, when you talk about what we're going to see today, what can we expect to see?
Well, this is an exhibition, so the atmosphere is a little bit more relaxed. But we have a lot of world-class athletes here, as well as a few new ones that are new on the international scene and really want to make a good showing here. So the intensity is still going to be there, just as if it was a competition. Okay, Bart Connor. Strong Russian team. What can we expect to see from them?
I think one of the exciting things about this field is that just coming off the national championships in the Soviet Union, they send 1 through 6, their top 6 guys from the men's team. That's exciting for us because not that often do we have an opportunity to see their best team here in the United States. These are the guys who are going to figure very prominently in the Goodwill Games. So it's a good opportunity to see what they're all about in a more relaxed atmosphere. And I tell you, sometimes in a relaxed exhibition situation, you see better routines than you do in competition because they're pretty loose.
And it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be great.
I'm a little disappointed that the crowd is not larger, but those who are in attendance, as you can tell, are naturally one-sided, rooting for the United States team. And to get us started is 19-year-old Marie Roethlisberger. She's been a member of the national team since 1982.
Marie has a very good start on the balance beam. It's an original mount, front head spring to 2 feet. Back handspring chest roll. Now watch this. Marie is one of the only gymnasts to do that. And even though it looks quite simple, it's really hard. Now watch this move. Marie is incredibly strong. That's a plunge, and she presses out of the plunge. You usually only see men do that.
Hard to believe that she's working on a beam that's only 4 inches wide. You know, as a child, she had a battle with spinal meningitis, and that infection left her completely deaf in one ear, 80 to 85% deaf in the other, and the handicap hasn't bothered her at all.
I've talked to Marie about that, and she's never really seen it as a handicap. Setting up for one of her most difficult passes, back handspring layout step out, a little bit off. She does make the correction. And that's a full turn, and oh no, that's a concentration error. Oftentimes, you make all your hard tricks, and you come to that easy full turn, and it could be considered a choke move sometimes.
She was the first alternate on the 1984 Olympic team, which you were a member of, Kathy.
That's right. And setting up for a dismount. Round off, double back. No problem on the landing.
And Marie is very excited about how well the Americans did last week against the Soviets.
It was a very good competition because we were all together. It's the first time, it's a new bunch of girls, and the first time we competed as a team, and we did really well. We were for each other all the way. It was a real team effort.
It sounds like you guys were pretty psyched, and it must be nice in a way, too. Being with the Soviet athletes, usually you don't get to spend very much time together. Yeah. Have you enjoyed being around?
It's been about a week and a half, and it's been great. Yeah, we speak through interpreters, and they actually learned a little English and stuff. It was great.
On floor exercise, Vladimir Gogolatsa. On the floor exercise, Vladimir Gogolatsa, 19 years old, from the Soviet Union, started gymnastics at the age of 8. Second in the all-around a year ago at the national championships.
What a fantastic start, too. One of the great things about the Soviet athletes is that they're all outstanding tumblers. Look at this work. Beautiful straddle pirouettes. He started in flares, up to pirouettes, back down to flares, and back up to straddle pirouettes. That takes a tremendous amount of strength. There's a full to a punch front. Notice that even though he's a very explosive tumbler, he also has very good flexibility. Nice split work and a straddled press to a handstand. perfect balance move in the Y scale. Gets ready for his last tumbling run. Tuck double back. Okay, very clean exercise. If there's one thing I need to see in this exercise again, it's this point right here. Notice he's doing flared work. He's up to pirouettes. Now he's gonna go back down behind the back here and back into flares on the floor. I wish people could appreciate how hard it is to do that skill.
You know, Bart, I'm enjoying watching men's floor exercise to music here, and we don't see that in competition.
And you know, the Gymnastic Federation is trying to add a little theatrics to the performance by using spotlights.
Dan Hayden will be working on the parallel bars right now. Born in Buffalo, New York, attending Arizona State University. He's a junior there.
Dan is outstanding on the parallel bars, and probably the only person in the United States who can rival him is his twin brother, Dennis, who's
only
also
3 minutes older than him.
Starts with a peach hand. Those are called giant swings. A giant swing with a half turn to the top and another one. Dan has a very exciting exercise because he does all the elements you need to do. He does the upper bar work, the under bar work. Nice clean stutz. Notice how solid he is right to the top of the handstand there. Right on top. That's what you want to do for a good routine. And a very nice double back.
A very strong performance on the parallel bar from Dan Hayden. So far, I'm excited about the start of this exhibition, and we have some very heavy hitters coming up on both sides. Stay with us.
From the Soviet Union, Yuri Balabanov.
Yuri Balabanov of the Soviet Union working on the rings. 23-year-old member of the national team since 1982. Soviet and European all-around champ.
Balabanov said rings is his favorite event. Look how strong he is here. Look at the position in the iron cross. He did a back roll to an iron cross. Now he's going to swing with a cast back upright handstand. Oh, fantastic work on a double whip it in the pike position. You only see a few gymnasts in the world who can do that skill. Now back to the strength work. Fantastic Maltese cross. And a hollow back press to a handstand. He has all the necessary elements for a great routine here. Beautiful swing work and fantastic strength. A nice dismount, double front with a half.
Yuri Balabanov from the Soviet Union working on the rings. Fantastic performance by him.
Now there's quite a few gymnasts that are doing this double whip it right there. But what makes that one really great is that he's doing it with his legs straight in the piked position.
On the horizontal bar, please welcome Alexander Tikhonovich.
Alexander Tikhonovich on the high bar. Member of the national team since 1982. Had no top places a year ago, but finished 5th in the all-around in Worcester, Massachusetts in the last competition that was scored between the United States and the Soviet Union.
Has a nice beginning to his exercise. Oh, great work. He did a reverse act, then he got back into giant swings and did a full twisting ginger, a very difficult move.
In Worcester, he scored a 9.85 on the high bar.
It's such a nice, clean line. This is important in the high bar event. It's a full in, full out, and he stuck that landing. He seemed to do that exercise so effortlessly.
Alexander Tikhonovich of the Soviet Union.
Now this release move is amazing because he is so high. He is right there about 15 feet in the air as he does 1.5 twisting backflip and regrasps the bar.
Natalia Orlova, the Soviet Union, on the floor.
This is one of Natalia's favorite events. I think you'll see why. She really enjoys herself out there.
15 years old from Leningrad.
Unbelievable first pass. That was a whip through to a full-in pike. I can't believe the difficulty these girls are doing. This is incredible.
And this is just an exhibition, right?
Can't wait to see them in competition in the Goodwill Games. It'll be incredible. Oh, look at this part. So much feeling. This is what the Russians do so well, so beautifully. It's hard to believe they can put this much energy into their dance and do the tumbling runs that they do. Preparing for the last run. And a double back. Well done. Beautiful exercise. A lot of American gymnasts have great respect for the Soviet athletes. So we asked the Soviet girls who they look up to.
Мне нравятся две гимнастки. Мне нравится Ольга Степанова и Наталья Юрченко. Людмила Турищева. Мой идеал тоже Людмила Турищева.
And Ludmila Teresheva and Olga Stepanova are also favorites of mine.
And the young lady you're looking at right now is Stacie Gunthor. She's 15 years of age, lives and trains in Houston, Texas, under Vera Kolesnikova.
This is one of Stacie's strongest events. She opens with a move called a Jaeger, which is a hop to a front flip. Oh, I've really never seen Stacie have trouble with that. I'm very surprised. She swings quite well. Here's a second release move. We're seeing more and more often girls doing two major releases in the routine. Setting up for her dismount. And it's a layout flyaway. It's a much easier dismount than she normally does. I can't be sure, but she might have had some grip problem.
Earlier, I mentioned the heavy hitters. Well, get ready, because one of them is in the on-deck circle right now.
To become a world champion 2 times, the finest gymnast in the world, Yuri Korolev.
Yuri Korolev, many call the finest gymnast in the world. Bart, you might argue with that, but he is good, isn't he?
One of the great things about Yuri is that he is so strong physically, but I think he's even stronger mentally. Very few people compete this well as he does in international competition. His perfect position on the rings.
He scored a 9.85 in the scoring competition of this 4-city meet on the rings.
He has a 2.5-year-old young boy who I'll bet you enjoys his father's performances.
He's 23 now, and they said age 19 he became the youngest absolute champion in the history of gymnastics.
We saw him win the world championships in '81, and it's unbelievable that he came back in '85 to win the same event. Very nice routine.
Yuri Korolev from the Soviet Union. Our next performer is not the veteran you've just seen, but more or less a newcomer on the international scene. Her name is Vera Kolesnikova. She's 17 years old from the Soviet Union.
And she's got loads of difficulty in this routine. Watch, she opens, stalled her to handstand, right into a reverse hecht. Now watch this, she casts right back up, and another reverse hecht to a mixed grip. Rarely see that move done. A 1.5 twist to a new little move, which is kind of the new fad in gymnastics, that little move over the low bar. Free hip to handstand and a double twisting flyaway. Little problem with that landing, but a nice routine.
From the Soviet Union, 17-year-old Vera Kolesnikova.
There were several portions of the routine that weren't quite as clean as we usually see from the Soviets. But this is a part she does quite well. Here's that first reverse hecht. Now you see the coach steps in. It's just for safety only. Now in competition that would be a deduction, but since we're in exhibition situation, it's fine. And here's that second reverse hecht. She catches with a mixed grip so she can turn and drop right to the low bar.
And our showcase of talent continues in a moment, featuring the finest female gymnast in the world.
the current women's world champion at age 16, who is also world champion on this and 2 other events. Please welcome Yelena Shamova.
This is Yelena Shamova from the Soviet Union, 16 years of age, 4'9", 86 pounds, working on the floor.
86 pounds of solid muscle. This girl's a strong gymnast. Full in, beautifully stuck. She has a little bit different style than most of the Soviets have. Very unique.
I've counted at least 9 first-place finishes for her in competition since 1983.
Yelena is a great competitor. Under pressure, she's remarkable. Middle pass. A side 1 and 3, you rarely see women do that.
We talk about the level of difficulty in these exercises. It's amazing to see that none of them water back. They're doing all-out exercises, and in her case, we talk about the difficulty relative to women's gymnastics. She does more difficult routines than most men even attempt.
Exactly. Now watch this dismount. Takes a lot of endurance. Double back. You'd never know that was the end of her routine. She really has great endurance to finish that strong. Now watch this first tumbling run. Very few female gymnasts tumble this well. It's a full twisting double back. Now watch the landing. Not a movement at all. She sticks it solid. Now look at this middle run. This left me completely speechless when I saw it. It's a piked 1 3/4 somersault. You never see female gymnasts do that move. It's a top-level move, even for the men.
This is my new friend, Team Daggett.
She had a little less trouble with her English than she did turning on the microphone.
And of course, she introduced a good friend of mine also, Tim Daggett, my gold medal teammate from the '84 games.
You know, one of the things that has amazed me about gymnasts in general is the strength of the gymnasts, and comparing them to other athletes like football players or wrestlers or something like that. How would you compare the strength?
Well, one very important characteristic of a great gymnast is have fantastic body weight to strength ratio. You'll find that many of these top athletes in gymnastics can bench press twice their body weight. Not very many athletes can do that. Tim's blasting through his exercise finish with a nice double back.
You know, Charlie, the U.S. team has nicknamed Tim the Bull, not only because of his strength, but because he's so aggressive in competition.
Okay, you've explained that pretty well, Kathy. Irina Baraksanova of the Soviet Union, balance beam champion, and she's going to perform on the beam right now.
Irina is beautiful on this event. Is that round-off mount again? It's become very popular. Like layout chest draw. She has great presence on beam. Aerial walkover. Nice high kicks. She shows good flexibility. There's the leap series. Very appropriate music in the background. Two back handsprings, layout step out. You can't do it any better than that. It's a nice combination. She'll show just a little bit of flexibility here.
Just a little, huh?
As I said earlier, she's got all the qualities that are necessary to make a great gymnast, and one that's going to last.
16 years of age.
So many good years ahead of her. And the dismount, double back. Well done.
Marks now with Tim Daggett.
Spending a week with the Soviet athletes has to be a good experience. What kinds of things are you learning from these athletes?
Well, they do so many things so well, like a particular skill on the horizontal bar, Tkachev. They do it superior to everyone in the world, and their entire team does it that way. So just by seeing it every day and being able to go up right after them and try to duplicate what they're doing, it's been a great benefit for me.
You've had great success, a couple of medals from the Olympic Games. You know what it's like to work hard. Is it possible these guys work any harder?
I think they work very hard. I think the key, the reason why they're better than we are at this point is that they have a lot of top athletes training together. They come together with the best athletes in the entire Soviet Union, and it's a competition every day, and therefore they can work a little harder. No one wants to get beat, ever. And if you can have that competitive aspect in the gym every day, you're going to get better.
Thank you very much, Bart and Tim, and we'll be back in just a moment with, among other things, one of the most exciting high bar performers in the world. Now, while we have this brief break in the action, I'd like to talk to Kathy and Bart a little bit about what you've been able to observe. The Soviets appear to be hot. Your observations?
Well, the Soviets just completed their national championships a few weeks ago, so we're seeing them in their top shape. They look great, and especially they are on today.
You know, I'll be the first one to admit, too, so many times we go on exhibition tours, we water back, we don't do the big level gymnastics. Having the Soviets here is really putting the pressure on the Americans to do all the tricks, to do the stuff you have to do to be competitive on a worldwide scale.
Okay, Kathy, Bart, let's get back to the action.
The co-winner with Irina Baraksanova of the Mixed Pairs Championship and champion of this year's American Cup. Would you please welcome Alexei Tikhonovich.
Alexei Tikhonovich from the Soviet Union. And they say the root of his name means the quiet one.
He says we'd have to ask his friends whether that is really true, but I tell you, when it comes to high bar, there are very few gymnasts that are this aggressive. A full pirouette right to inverted giant swings. Now watch these release moves. Reverse act. Right to a giant swing. Another reverse act. Right to a kinger. Those are the toughest release moves you can do, and he does them all right after the other.
Bart, remember the days when one release move was sufficient?
Look at that. A triple back, and he made it easily.
Alexei Tikhonovich from the Soviet Union.
Let's look again at the 3 release moves he does here. There's a reverse act. He's going to catch and push back. One giant swing. Set up the next one. Reverse act. Now, as soon as he catches, he sets up the tap to do a ginger, a flyaway with a half twist and regrasp. Great combination.
Would you welcome 20-year-old Soviet team member Valentin Mogilny.
Valentin Mogilny, 20 years old from the Soviet Union, working on the pommel horse, Bart.
He is one of my favorite gymnasts. I think of all the up-and-coming gymnasts, he is going to have longevity because look at the extension. Not only is it a very difficult exercise, but there is perfect form.
And what makes it even more interesting, he scored a 9.95. That's as close to a 10 as you can get in the recent scoring competition.
Those are flared circles, and he did what he called a spindle flare on the end. It is so difficult to do that element. You know, in gymnastics, a complete exercise is supposed to contain 12 parts of value. I'll bet he's done 20 parts of value, every one of them being very difficult. That is a master of the pommel horse.
Valentin Mogilny from the Soviet Union. Fine performance on the pommel horse.
On still rings, this one's for you, ladies. Here's Mr. Muscles, Mike Rice.
Mike Rice, currently living in Norman, Oklahoma, somewhere near you, right, Bart?
Actually, Mike and I trained together for a couple of years at Oklahoma. He's great on the rings here.
Who's this year's Big 8 Conference all-around champion.
He does the strength moves right at the beginning. The cross, the front lever, the press to handstand. Now watch this next move. whip it to a double whip it. 2 of them in a row. Original skill. And a full twisting double with 1 step on the landing. It's a good exercise.
Mike Rice, 22 years old from Oklahoma.
Now, we've seen these double whippets before, but what makes this combination interesting is that he does them 2 in a row. So it's a double whippet, right to a back uprise handstand. Original combination.
On the horizontal bar, Vladimir Gogolatsa.
Vladimir Gogolatsa working on the high bar from the Soviet Union, 19 years of age.
He starts his exercise with the stalder. And here goes the release moves. Reverse act, right to a ginger. Those are tough, and he did them right on.
You're loving this, aren't you?
I tell you, one thing that all gymnasts have is a respect for each other's abilities, because it is an individual sport, and you're out there on your own. And if a guy can do that level of skill, I know how hard he's worked to get to that point. Look at this, 1, 2, 3, triple back. That is one of the most difficult exercises in the world, and he does it as if no big deal.
Vladimir Gogolatsa, the Soviet Union.
It becomes complicated to watch.
Now, these are the same release moves that were done earlier in the performance by Tikhonovich, but he's going to do all 3 of them, one right after the other. Reverse act, right to a ginger. Perfect.
And as you know, Bart, the high bar is the most spectacular event in men's gymnastics, and what this exhibition is providing is a demonstration of dismounts from the high bar, going from the very easiest to the most difficult.
One of the things that gymnasts all agree on is that the high bar dismounts are probably the most fun for us to do. So the gymnasts are going to put on a little display here. This is Yefim Furman. He's the assistant coach at UCLA, and he does your basic layout flyaway, a very simple dismount.
The next young man you're watching is Brian Babcock. He looks like he's a little uncertain as to how many he's going to do.
I think they're just clowning around, because this really is fun for the guys. They just cast up into giant swings and pop a dismount. Here's a laid out double back. Now that's a D move. That's one of the higher level difficulty moves. But now what these guys are going to do is add some twists onto these dismounts and make them more difficult.
This is Vladimir Artemov from the Soviet Union.
He stems up into giant swings, picks up some speed for his dismount. That's a full twisting double with a perfect landing.
And the progression gets even harder with Dan Hayden.
Dan does a very interesting dismount because most of the gymnasts are coming off of a back giant directly out at a 45-degree angle from the dismount. In this case, Dan is going to do his dismount not coming towards us now, but he's going to go back over the top of the bar with a full twisting double right there and land on the other side of the bar.
Dan Hayden on that dismount. The next young man is Tim Daggett from UCLA, in grad school there at UCLA.
Now Tim's going to show us the dismount that he stuck in the summer of '84 that helped us clinch the title against the Chinese in the Olympic Games. This is a laid out full twisting double back. Good speed in the giant swing. There's 2 flips and 1 twist. Good dismount.
And that familiar Olympic smile of Tim Daggett. Alexander Tikhonovich of the Soviet Union.
Now he's going to do a similar dismount in that it has 2 flips, but he's not going to do it in laid out position, and he's going to add 1 more twist. So it's a double twisting, double flip in the tuck position. And a perfect stick.
You enjoy these, don't you?
Oh, I love it. I tell you, I'd love to be out there cutting some dismounts with these guys right now if I could.
Yuri Balabanov of the Soviet Union.
Now he's going to do a dismount that's completely different than the other gymnasts because most of them are releasing and doing back flipping dismounts. He's going to do a forward flipping dismount. There's a half turn here out of a stalder. Now he's going to flip forward here, ducks under, double flip with a 1.5 twist. Very difficult dismount.
And as we continue with our progression of dismount difficulty, if you would like to call it that. We go with Brian Ginsberg.
Brian is what we call a great flipper. He knows how to flip a triple flip so easily, and he knows where he is at all times. He lands like a cat. Look at the speed he picks up here on a dismount. Ready, 1, 2, 3, and easily finishes a triple flip before he lands.
Brian Ginsberg with that last dismount. And our last demonstrator, Alexei Tikhonovich of the Soviet Union.
And we saw him earlier do a triple flip. He's going to do another one here. His is a little different from most of the other gymnasts in that when he grabs his tuck, he grabs on top of his knees. You can see 1, 2, 3, and he does it very easily.
And there you had the progression from the more easier moves like a simple layout to the triple back by Alexei Tikhonovich. Now coming up, a gymnast whose enthusiasm and fun is famous all over the world and whose most receptive audience is other gymnasts.
On floor exercise, our final appearance of Paulette Huntanova.
Well, we told you that something different was coming up. Let's take a look right now. It is different.
I've seen Paulette perform many, many times all over the world, and I never get tired of seeing this. Great music. I don't know how he does that.
It's a good thing he's a great gymnast himself. I don't know how he can do those acrobatic skills and wipe out so gracefully. This is actually Paul Hunt, who was a national champion in men's floor exercise about 15 years ago.
What's great about this routine is he's taking parts out of some very famous gymnast routines and making light of them.
Including yourself, right?
That's right. About 2 or 3 years ago, he came to me and asked me to teach him part of my routine. And he performed many parts of a routine I did to Swan Lake. It was the most hysterical thing I've ever seen. Now this is incredible. I don't know how he keeps from getting sick.
I tried that once, talking about being dizzy.
Or either having your right arm shorter than the other one, right?
Now watch this. Saying a little prayer before he goes into the tumbling run. And of course, you have to have a change in music. He wasn't expecting that one.
Do you recognize yourself yet, Kathy?
Not yet. Now, to gymnasts, that was very funny because we're all the time trying to keep up with our music or go with the music.
And two of the Soviet gymnasts finding it very, very funny. Irina Baraksanova on the left and Oksana Avyakova on the right. We're enjoying watching them watch Paul.
They've probably never seen anyone do anything quite like this.
I don't expect that there'd be a gymnast in the Soviet Union to be willing to do this. Only in America.
That's a move that Tracy Talavera used to do.
Wasn't that a little Kathy Johnson there?
Now, Bart. Oh, gosh.
Ouch.
I don't know how he does it.
Fun and entertainment for all. That's Paul Hunt from Salt Lake City, Utah. We enjoy him.
Isn't he great?
And now, my new friend, Angie Deaton, will perform.
This is Angie Deaton, 17 years old from Willingboro, New Jersey. A lot of people came up. In fact, they chartered a bus from her hometown to come see her today. She's performing on the balance beam.
I'm really glad to see Angie still competing and doing so well. I've known her since she was a junior and about 3 feet tall.
Now she's all of 4 feet tall.
She's all of 4 feet tall, and she still has the same power and strength she always had. Here's a standing back. Angie has very good concentration as well. Difficult pass, round off layout, step out. Well done. Aerial cartwheel, she's holding nothing back. She's got plenty of difficulty in this routine. It's usually very tempting to take out some of your harder skills when it's just an exhibition. Not so with Angie.
I think she has the pressure from being with the Soviet athletes who are doing all their stuff today.
She's doing an excellent routine. Here's the dismount. Double back. Stick. Beautiful job.
Good landing. She stuck the landing.
I think she's pretty excited.
Angie Deaton from Willingboro, New Jersey.
From the Soviet Union, 21-year-old Vladimir Artemov.
Vladimir Artemov from the Soviet Union working on the parallel bar. Bart?
Artemov is one of the best parallel bar workers in the world. He has already won a world championship on this event in '83. What a move. A drop peach to a pirouette. I've never seen that done that well. One of the best things about this exercise is he does everything well. The underbar work, the upper bar work, and look at that strength. That move is called a Manna. It was named after a gymnast named Bob Manna, one of my coaches on the parallel bars. Nice, back toss, and double back. That's a great exercise.
All the gymnasts here today are looking forward to the Goodwill Games in July. We asked Vladimir what it means to him.
Я думаю, это будет крупнейшее соревнование этого года.
To be the most important, the largest competition of this year.
На уровне чемпионатов мира.
At the level of the World Championship.
The second all-around recently in the American Cup and the fifth-ranked horizontal barman in the United States, now performing his floor exercise routine. This is Brian Ginsberg.
Brian Ginsberg from UCLA, a student there majoring in kinesiology, working on the floor exercise.
This guy is without a doubt the springiest gymnast we have in the U.S. Watch this mount. Laid out, double back, and he sticks it. We've talked about the importance in gymnastics of fast twitch muscle fiber, and this guy is 98% fast twitch. Look at that full punch front right to his stomach.
I love it. Finished second in the all-around. The Soviet Union's Alexei Tikhonovich at the McDonald's Cup back in March, and he was the youngest male to compete in the American Cup.
And look at the strength. He does a plunge and a straight body press right up to handstand. Full punch front with a half. You can get difficulty in gymnastic routines by finishing a full twisting backflip and doing a punch front out of it. It's a D move, one of the higher level difficulty moves. He does them effortlessly. Here's his last run. Easy tuck double back. Great exercise.
Brian Ginsberg. His home is Mobile, Alabama, but he's a student at UCLA.
Now let's take a look at this laid out double backflip. This is a tough move to do. You have to have good speed. But watch here. His second flip right here is actually higher than his first flip was. It's a very difficult element, and he seems to do it very easily. He was NCAA champion on this event earlier this year, and I think he has a great future in gymnastics as an all-around performer.
And even though we're winding down, there's still more exciting gymnastics coming your way. Vera Kolesnikova of the Soviet Union, working on the beam.
Another round off layout step out, done effortlessly.
She's one of their taller gymnasts at 5'1".
Does an extremely hard mount right into a great first pass. It's off to a super start for her. She really does appear tall up there. I think a lot of that, though, is her training. She's got great line and extension, and it makes her appear taller. Very classic style, fluid movements. Nice originality in her movement. A little bit of flexibility and balance. Preparing for the dismount. Triple twist. That is a tough dismount.
Kathy, you know, we find the Soviet women are just as enthusiastic as the men about the upcoming Goodwill Games.
Ну, игры доброй воли будут проходить как маленькие Олимпийские игры.
She considers the Goodwill Games to be the mini Olympic Games.
Здесь будут участвовать все сильнейшие
All
гимнасты
the
Советского
strongest gymnasts will
Союза.
take part in it, not only from the Soviet Union, but
И, и всех гимнастов Европы, мира.
From other countries of Europe and the world.
The next person that I have the privilege to introduce is very special for me because I trained my whole life and I finally accomplished something that I didn't think I could ever do. I qualified for my first World Championship team, and those championships took place in Moscow, the Soviet Union. And this guy right here was the same age as me. He was 18 years old and he won it all. He won the all-around champion. He's the all-around champion of the world. And so he became my hero, my model, okay? So here is my hero, Yuri Korolev on the parallel bars.
Yuri Korolev of the Soviet Union, 23 years of age, preparing to mount the parallel bars.
Korolev is definitely the toughest gymnast in the world. He does great difficulty, but the best part about him is he does not give up. He is a fighter in competition, and that's why he wins most of those events. We actually have a very interesting opportunity to view the Soviet team at this time. They have done worldwide exhibition tours when they have been in less than great shape. Their national championships were just 2 weeks ago, so we're seeing the best in the world in their best possible condition.
Yuri Korolev of the Soviet Union. And this is Svetlana Levinskaya.
And the floor is her favorite event.
She's from Grodno, which is the same hometown as Olga Korbut.
1.5 twists through to double back.
I like this one, Kathy.
I think this is one you should remember the name. She's going to be a great one. Full in for her middle pass. She does it so effortlessly, it's hard to know exactly how difficult this is. And look at the feeling in the dance.
I'm in love.
Oh, Bart.
See, she's about half my age.
So don't even think about it. But look at that gymnastics. Such talent. And not just talent. You can tell she's a hard worker. Whip through to double back for her last pass. I'm in shock. Incredible.
Svetlana Levinskaya of the Soviet Union. Fine floor exercise performance.
Since 1974,
The Soviets have expressed how important the upcoming Goodwill Games are to them. They are also important to our American athletes. This young man is one of them. He's been acting as a Goodwill Games ambassador, touring the country with a group of athletes to promote the games, and we're getting ready to see him in his final performance.
Tim Daggett.
This is undoubtedly Tim's favorite piece of equipment, mostly because he's so good on here. He won the bronze medal in the Summer Olympics in '84. He breaks into the flares and into his scissors. Now, he's an expert at doing the flared circles. The whole last half of his exercise is going to be built around the flare. Look at, he does flares all the way down the horse. He hops back into the middle, He'll go back out to the end. And he totally blew that dismount. It wasn't supposed to go exactly that way. Luckily, it was an exhibition.
It's been an exciting exhibition. Your thoughts, Kathy Johnson?
I'm very impressed with everything I've seen today, in particular the work of the Soviets. If this is an indication of what we'll see at the Goodwill Games, we're in for a treat.
Bart?
And it's been a real treat for me also, because we've been able to see some of the best gymnasts in the world in a really relaxed and fun atmosphere.
For Kathy Johnson and Bart Connor, Charlie Neal saying so long.